Hello, and you're very welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod, episode 153. I'm delighted to say co-hosting today is, and it's a word that is massively overused, not in this case, proper Red Roses leg end, Rocky Clark. How are you, Rocky?
Hey, Johnny. Yeah, I'm absolutely fantastic. Thanks for having me on. Delighted to be here. So I'm excited to chat all things rugby with you.
Yeah, it was an incredible weekend, wasn't it? Here in England with the Premier 15 semi-finals. We will have a new name on the trophy come a couple of weeks' time. We're going to look back at those semi-finals and, boy, incredible games as well as incredible occasions. We'll talk about the new landmark, inverted commas, contracts that England have given to their Red Roses. We've got all the news as well from France, some Sevens news in there, South African news as well. And we're also going to go over to the USA to talk about Premier Rugby Sevens, which kicks off this weekend with Naya Tapper. All coming up on the Women's Rugby Pod. So then, Rocky, incredible occasion. Let's get the details out the way first before we have a chitter-chatter, pitter-patter. Gloucester-Hartpury on Saturday with a record crowd, 21-12 against Bristol. And then on Sunday, it was Exeter, most dramatic fashion, that beat Saracens 24-21, over 4,000 at Sandy Park. The final will be at Kingsholm Saturday, the 24th of June, 3:30 in the afternoon, the kickoff for that one. Unbelievable scenes. Let's get into Saturday first, Rocky. What did you make of the occasion?
Yeah, absolutely incredible scenes. Like, I think this is the biggest semi-final we've seen. The amount of the huge crowd that was going, the build up to it, the coverage. It was, what it was billed to be, and the comeback from Bristol was just, what we needed to see. We didn't want to see a one-sided game. It was just absolutely brilliant to see.
It was Gloucester-Hartpury who threw out of the traps Sarah Beckett with a try, 3-4 minutes, wasn't it? She's enjoying an excellent end to the season. Kelsey Jones put one over as well on the 30-minute mark. And then, as you say, Bristol turned the screw, didn't they? Lark Davis, not shy of a try line, is she, Lark?
She knows where the try line is, doesn't she?
Well, it's a thing, isn't it? The hookers scoring tries. Why were Gloucester-Hartpury so good? I mean, obviously lots of emotion. They've never been to a final before. Home semi-final, of course, they finished top of the league. Talking to Sean Lynn last week, that was a big motivation for them. They felt deserved, but yeah, they had to work for it. But you finished top of the league. I like the fact that the top two have got through to the final. But they came out with a real bang. They played some incredible rugby this season, and that's the way they started this game.
Yeah, for sure. And like getting into the game so early with Sarah Beckett, she's been an absolute bowling ball. Every time she carried, it's not often you see Sarah Byrne put on her bum when Sarah Beckett absolutely flies into her. The front foot ball that she was able to get her team, they defended, didn't they, for about 2 minutes before they got the turnover and then shifted it out wide and scored in the corner. And that kind of intent, that defensive effort was just so outstanding to see. It was awesome. You can't fault it. The double tackles going in, the line speed, the being patient. Because you sort of think of Bristol, they're keeping the ball, playing the phases, but they're just going from edge to edge. They're not really making any punch forward, are they?
It's an all-international pack, isn't it? And quite incredible. Maud Muir, Kelsey Jones, Laura Delgado, Sam Monaghan, Allcroft, Alex Matthews, Bethany Lewis, Sarah Beckett. I mean, it's a pack. You'd say right up there in terms of strength in the entirety of this league. But there was a real desire, a real hunger, and that showed come the final whistle. I've put a question to you, and I'm sure it's not the case, but have they played their final?
Both Exeter and Gloucester obviously are renowned for their defensive effort and their big ball playing forwards and their offloading game. So I would like to think they haven't, because they. I still think there's more to come. And if we look, it's all about consistency, isn't it? They won 16 out of their 18 games in the season, and every game they've pretty much been in control. Just with a few areas that they need to improve on. Line out is an area that they'll be really prepping this week, and obviously doing all the analysis on Exeter. You've got to say the occasion they've got to throw everything at it. It's their opportunity. Obviously, Exeter have been in the final before. They've got that experience. They've got that heartbreak. But yeah, it's a really tough one to call, actually. It's a massive game on momentum, and what forwards can dominate the others if they can at all.
Yeah, as you say, that is certainly one area that Gloucester-Hartpury want to tighten up that line out. Defensively, I thought they're right on the money. 2-week gap to the final is going to help some very, very tired, sore bodies, but also mentally to kind of park that up. I think, if it's back to back, I'm hugely impressed. Look, we'll get into Exeter in a moment or two, but hugely impressed with their fitness levels. So yeah, I think that extra week is going to help Gloucester-Hartpury. Bristol, got to give them their dues. Some brilliant words from Dave Ward at the end of the game. It was a phenomenal advert for rugby. Don't need to say women's rugby for rugby. They did race back into the game, and full credit to them for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell, Dave Ward and the leaders at halftime rallied the troops, got them fired up. You get one shot at a semi-final, and they had to do everything they could. I'd say Bristol really need to work on their kicking game. They got a lot more success when they had a higher tempo, and played with kick exits, played in the right areas, rather than overplaying and Gloucester getting the turnovers and scoring off it. But, they can hold their heads up high. They've had a great season, and they're a team that can turn any big team over. And yes, it wasn't their day. They left it too late at the weekend, but certainly can hold their heads up high and know that they've thrown everything at it.
Yeah, I mean, finished 7 points clear of Harlequins in fifth. Fully deserve their semi-final spot, and I do think in rugby, whether it's men or women, you earn your stripes, don't you? Sometimes you're not always going to race straight to a final and win it and pick up the cup first thing. It's those learnings, and lots of sides have got been there or thereabouts and then finally won it. Bristol won't go away, will they?
No, absolutely not. They found their feet in the second half of the season, and having Dave Ward in, and just you can see how he wants to play, and they obviously want to keep the ball, but they just need to keep developing on playing in the right areas. Obviously, Amber Reid is a vital player for them, and her being able to maybe get them a few more exits and stepping into that 10 position to clear lines if needed, like that. I think that's how they're going to develop. But certainly I've been so impressed, when you've got the likes of Sarah Byrne, Simi Pan giving you front foot ball, and they work their absolute socks off, and full credit to them. But I think Bristol just needed an extra layer, like maybe some balls in behind and a few more dummy runners, rather than being, easy for Gloucester to see who was going to carry. Because, Sarah Byrne was getting double tackled, and although she was making yards, normally we're used to seeing her make the meters, but obviously that creates space out wide, so they've got to do something else off of it. But I definitely think they're in a really good place, and I think in the next 2-3 years we're going to really see them flourish. Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, just a slight bit of deception, and you think you spoke about Amber Reid, of course, Al Snowsill, those playmakers. There's plenty of footballing ability and playmaking ability there for Bristol. Speaking of which, the orchestration, the puppeteering of the Gloucester-Hartpury halfbacks through lovely Mo Hunt and Flaky George has just been a real feature of their season.
Yeah, Lakey has just been, she's such a threat on ball, isn't she? She's got a great pass, and you can't shift off of her because she's such a great ball carrier, as well as being able to put people away. obviously Mo Hunt pulling the strings and inviting her forwards onto the ball, who are massive bulldozers anyway. So when they're getting really good front football, it's an armchair ride for the fly half, who can then unleash the danger they've got in the backs. I think it's a pretty much full-rounded team with Gloucester.
Hugely impressed by them. And they seem to take for me, Rocky, and correct me if I'm wrong, seem to take the right option. And that comes with, yes, of course, there's experience in the Bristol halfbacks, but between Mo Hunt and Craigie George, just seem to take the right option more often than not.
Yeah, and we know Mo is so experienced at reading the game. She's so creative. She knows what's needed. And I'd say one of the biggest things for halfbacks to learn is the importance of front football. So Mo knows that if they haven't got that it's to set another forward phase up, get them onto that front foot, which then gives the backs, more space, more time to distribute the ball or carry. But I think she has been absolutely vital to Gloucester for sure.
Yeah, a real heartbeat player for them. So well done to Gloucester. The incentive of a home final has got to be a massive draw, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you only have to look at that with how desperate Saracens were to try and get a home semi against Exeter, and I think for Gloucester being able to play at home and have the amount of support that they did, and they've been building the fan base throughout the year, and they just turn it into a party vibe, and everyone gets behind them. It's loud. It's a hard place to go, and just to be able to have that, gives you that extra percentage.
Certainly does, and I don't think it's any coincidence that James Forrester, Django is his name, wonderful rugby player, spent some years outside of the country, setting up gyms and youth. I think might be his company, but he's become the new CEO at Gloucester-Hartpury. Spent a huge amount of time behind the scenes, building the bridges initially, and then just making sure that they're maintained really well as well, connecting Gloucester-Hartpury and the main sort of club at Gloucester, which was very much needed. I think there's impressive people wanting to get involved in the women's games. A great appointment. Do you know him? Do you know Django?
Yeah, I've met him once, and yeah, he was just such a nice guy, and he was so genuine and took the time to find out about what he'd been doing, and just seems so pro women's rugby, and like you said, it's no coincidence he's come in, and we talk about Mo Hunt being the heartbeat of Gloucester, but he is the equivalent of that, and for him to get things done and things to happen, and then Gloucester are in the final, it is no coincidence. He's a massive asset to Gloucester for sure.
No, he certainly is. I saw him at a game. It was last season, and echoing what you're saying, just wanted to know, just wanted to absorb. Wasn't I'm going to do this. Just wanted to learn off people who, kind of be within the game. And I think that's there's two types of people who are rugby at the moment and coming into it. Those who want to sort of promote themselves through women's rugby, which we have no time for, but and then those who are doing it for genuine reasons. And Django's doing a great job at Gloucester-Hartpury, as is Sean Lynn, Mo Hunt, and the rest of them. Well done to the circus. You booked your place in the final, and then, boy oh boy, what a game on Sunday. Any nails left? Where did you watch it?
Yeah, I was at home sitting on the edge of my seat. What a game. I mean, to be honest, that had sort of final kind of dramas and everything written all over it, didn't it? With the 3 yellow cards that Saracens had, and the lead swapping, and that second half, it was just, could have gone either way, and I think that, thank goodness there's 2 weeks between the semis and the finals, because they absolutely knocked 5 bells out of each other, didn't they? And, I know Saracens will be really, really hurting, and Exeter coming into it off of their last win off the back of a couple of defeats. So for them, they're on about building. They've got their strong squad back, and a big victory over Gloucester a few weeks back will certainly give them confidence. But they I think they need to ask a few more questions as well when they play Gloucester. They looked a little one-dimensional at times as well.
What do you make of the yellow cards? There's been a few rumblings, and look, part of me likes the fact that the women's game is being analysed in that kind of detail. It's not all just, oh, isn't it all great? Because the players deserve the proper analysis. Those yellow cards right for you?
Yeah, you saw Marley put her hands on her head after,
she knew, didn't she?
Yeah, exactly. Like Holly had just been done for it a couple of minutes before, so I think that was right call. And you really have to weigh up, risk reward, and being in that sort of situation down to 14. That's tough, but it's so inviting, isn't it? You're getting, my hand, your instinct, and then, it is really tough. But I thought, Sarries defended pretty well considering they were down. What was it, 7-8 minutes down to 13, and I think it was one try scored of it. I think.
Yeah, it was only one try. Yeah.
Yeah, which was probably going to happen anyway. So they managed to ride the wave, but I think the semis and the final are all going to be and have been about momentum, and you could see the momentum swing, so many times during that game. Like you said, edge of the seat stuff, no nails left. It was absolutely brilliant, and for people sitting on the fence, what a brilliant game to watch, and just get more fans to the game.
Yeah, 100%. It was say over 4,000, and befitting a final in terms of the quality of rugby. Do Exeter win that game? And bear in mind, the try was were 2 minutes before the final whistle. Do they win that game if they don't have that home support?
We know how important it is for them, and they've kind of turned it into a fortress down there. It is a tough place to go, even though a lovely place, but a very tough place to go. And Saracens having never beaten them down there, and in the finals, it's going to be tough for them. I've seen that they're putting buses on to get travelling supporters to go, and they need to try and get that support up there, but. They have to massively focus on what they've been doing all season, what's given them the success, and building the game off of their big, again, they're very similar to Gloucester with their big carrying forwards like Hope Rogers. Like, she has been phenomenal, hasn't she? Every game she pretty much scores a try, absolute go-to, makes a line break. There's no wonder she's been seen in a 7 shirt before as well. She is brilliant. And then Kate Zachary in the backs, you can just play off her, can't you? She will create something out of nothing. Such an athlete, an absolute worldie of a player. And, you've got to try and contain those two. And I think they're real danger. If they have a good game, people thrive off of that and build. But, I think that I genuinely am really struggling to call which way it will go. Obviously that home advantage for Gloucester is going to be quite a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I posed the question about Gloucester playing their final, and a lot of this game is going to be up top, isn't it? The top 3 inches. I remember having a conversation with a good old colleague of yours many years ago, many 20 odd years ago, Sophie Hemming.
Yes.
She through her week, the sacrifices she had to make. The reason I bring it up is one of the reasons that attracted me to women's rugby and wanted to just try and put a spotlight on the incredible sacrifices that you guys made and the girls still make now. Hope Rogers is away from her family, away from her partner, and I just, having spoken to Susie Apwey, it's that family they've had to create because they don't have any other family around. And that's, for me, it's palpable. You can see it running through, and of course it was at home, but you can see it running through the entire squad, on the bench, all the rest of it, that collective will that you're going to go that extra 2 meters when you're picking up the ball. You're going to go half a second quicker because you're doing it for people you genuinely care about and spend a huge amount of time. Do you feel the same? Now I've ranted and raved about that. Do you feel the same? That they're just incredible. I'm not saying that, better team spirit than any other team, but it's palpable down at the Chiefs, isn't it?
You can see it. All social media, they're hanging out with each other all the time. Away from the rugby pitches, you can see, like you said, when the final whistle goes, everyone's pretty much doing cartwheels and jumping around. There's people on crutches, like scurrying along with their sticks up in the air, and they're absolutely buzzing. And it is really special, that camaraderie, that family, as you talk about, that they've created, and Hope and all the other internationals that are away from their family, they've made best friends. They've got people that they confide in, that they will get homesick, but all the others are going through it. I remember when in the World Cup camps where we were away from our family and we were going through grueling, horrible sessions, but it was okay, because when you looked up, your mate was going through it and they had your back. And I think that's exactly what those girls are doing. And you just see they love each other. They put their bodies on the line for each other week in, week out. And the competition as well. Let's look at the players that they have on the bench as well. With Cleaner on the bench, like how hard is it on her, who's been phenomenal as well this season. Like, they've just got such great competition and people and everything.
Yeah, and not even, you talk about Cleaner Maloney there, and understand that Claudia McDonald will be back in the mix as well for the final. International front row to come on. Robin Wilkins, a very accomplished Welsh international. Laurie Kramer, an exciting Australian winger. Incredible squad. He's going to have to change over the next few years, certainly. With sort of qualifications, English qualified players and what have you coming in, but even the youngsters. I thought obviously Sinclair's try at the end was brilliant. That second half comeback. But Katie Buchanan, a youngster, really, really good end of the season, and a fabulous semi-final from her as well. And then in and around that experience, that Zachary Cantona, McGovern, I thought her boot has been, well, it's been crucial all season, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Length of boot, a variety of kick when she chooses to do it. It's been crucial.
Yeah, she's been a magnificent find, hasn't she? Like, we talk about threats on the ball, the Lecky, like the boot that she's got, the cool, calm head she's got. She seems like she's got more time than anyone else on the ball, and is able just to, orchestrate what she wants and unleash or back herself or kick. Like, she seems to have loads of time, and that's credit to the skill set that she's got and the understanding of the game as well.
Well, it was just wrapping up. 14-0. Sarries went out, didn't they? That try, literally just after half time. I'd love to know what was said, and we'll speak to both camps next week on the pod, Gloucester-Hartpury and to Exeter. But Kate Zachary, as you say, sort of galvanising and scoring that try crucially. Of course, there had to be her, then McGovern with the conversion, a penalty. Hope Rogers scores. That's converted as well. Sarries get one back, and you think, oh my goodness gracious me. And then either Sinclair. And it was on the cards, wasn't it? They battered and battered and battered. Very Exeter, men or women, very, very Exeter. And then the space was out wide. It was incredible composure from them. Yeah,
exactly right. And when you play Exeter that they've got that set game plan. Everyone knows their roles. Everyone knows and is composed and calm and just does what they need to do. As long as they don't drop it, they were going to score, weren't they? It was the build up was there. It was composed because there was the danger that they might just keep picking and going and then get held up, but they had that confidence to go and what a moment for her to score and just before full time as well. Maybe when they were looking to score, I think it was about 7 minutes before the end. Maybe that was great that they didn't, because then they scored right in the death of the game, and that was it. Then there was no chance for Sarries' comeback.
It was a phenomenal game of rugby, as we've said. Huge congratulations to Susie Appleby, Steve Selvin, and the rest of the guys at Exeter Chiefs. We'll see you at the final at Kingsholm, week Saturday. Just to remind you of that one, get your tickets through the RFU website, Gloucester-Hartpury website, in fact, actually, not the RFU, or probably both, or Prem 15's website. You get your tickets there. It's not difficult. Yeah, let's fill the place out. Let's fill the place out, as you say, Exeter putting on buses as well from their place. Brilliant game. Let's see if Exeter can do it again. Or will Gloucester-Hartpury have a majority of the momentum? And I think that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? Because both sides are going to have purple patches, right, Rocky? And it's who can convert absorbing the purple patch to getting into that purple patch and keeping that purple patch the longest. Is that the key to the final?
Yeah, it's that. I mean, we know the emotion. We know that they're gonna fly out and throw everything at each other, and both teams have got such strong defenses and big, strong forwards and great kicking games, etc. But it's about riding the wave. Can they keep in that arm wrestle when the going gets tough? Can they stay composed? Can they not give a penalty followed by another penalty? Can they break the chain of errors? Can they play the phases? Can they play in the right areas? And we've seen both teams be able to come through purple patches and execute when they needed to. So yeah, it all makes and is built for the top game of the season. But we also know a team would take winning 3-0, wouldn't they? to win. So yeah, I hope it's as exciting as it's built to be, for sure.
Go on then, who's going to win it?
Oh, honestly, I'm going
friends of both camps.
Gloucester, Exeter. At the moment, having just talked about it, I'm going to go Exeter.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just, didn't like losing last year. Did themselves justice in the final, and they've got that experience of being in the final and all that kind of jazz. And I think the home advantage may turn to possibly a disadvantage with the added pressure of playing in front of your baying fans. So yeah, we're both going Exeter. Sorry, Gloucester-Hartpury. One other thing, just to let you know about that semi-final, and we will say nothing more about it because it's a live investigation. The RFU are investigating incidents that happened, I believe, at half-time involving Poppy Cleo and some of the Exeter management. We will let you know the outcome of that investigation when it is out. The only other news out of England, it's fairly big news, really, isn't it, Rocky? England have announced a new landmark. I'll say that in inverted commas. In some ways it is, but you always got to read between the lines. And it took some clarification from a group of media bods we have in women's rugby here in the UK. New contracts will run up to 3 years. Not all of them, in fact, very few of them, is the understanding. But it can run up to 3 years. Before it was mainly just 1 year contracts. Big pay rise, although no disclosure on exact salaries. And the squad has swelled by 2 up to 32. There will also be 6 transition contracts to support aspiring Red Roses. The RFU getting ahead of the curve, as they have done, and full credit to them. Say these enhancements include improved match fees, better opportunities for off-field development, and agreements around revenue if business targets are exceeded. John Mitchell, although he's not even started, was involved in the conversation. Connor Shea, of course, was head of high performance at the RFU. Charlotte Hayter, head of high performance for the women. And Christian Day from the RPA, all involved in those conversations. Oh, Rocky. I mean, brilliant for them, but stuff you can only dream of.
I know, exactly. It's hard to not be jealous, isn't it? I'd if I'd done 137 caps now, I'd have a really nice house. But there
millionaire.
I'd be a millionaire. Well, maybe not that far, but no, it is fantastic, and that's the way the game's evolving. I want all of our women to have the best opportunity, and I want the rest of the world to catch up. England are trailblazers in their landmark things they're doing with maternity pay and obviously extra contracts and the 6 transitional ones, like that's, it's only a positive thing. Obviously money going up as well, and 3-year contracts, that just gives them that bit of security, stability, that if they get an injury or form drops out, they're being back for that time. So I think it is massive, and I think it's something that other nations can aspire to. Are we at the finished product? Absolutely not. Are we on our way? Have we taken another step? Yes, we have. But it's great to see. But also, it's what we need to do, and we just need to keep progressing that way forward.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Obviously, England, New Zealand, so we're trying to push their noses ahead of each other, aren't they? There's some moving and shaking going on down in New Zealand in terms of their progress and stuff. But contracts given out there.
Great for an aspiring young player coming into, or has been earmarked for England, and they got those 6 up and coming squad player ones as well. That's only what dreams could be made of. The thought of having that opportunity when I was 19, 20, I'd have bit their hand off. So it's a credit, but we still want more.
Of course. And parity will take a little while, but I think you get ahead of that curve. That the pressure, certainly media-wise, is less. The bottom line is, young girls who maybe listening to this or watching or whatever can now aspire to make a living from playing rugby, and that's a huge sea change.
Oh, it's absolutely massive. When I was sort of 15, 16, that was never an opportunity, and for now, kids who have just started picking up a rugby ball, they can go and be their job, they want to go and be a full-time rugby player. Absolutely amazing to see how far we've come in such little time, relatively. And I think it's incredible. And, the heights that the Premiership's going as well, and there's quite a bit of financial backing in that as well. So it's well within somebody's potential that they could go and be a semi-pro player or pro player for sure.
I'm Kira Bevan, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Okay, so news from around the globe. With the Euro 7s, it was the first leg of the European Sevens Championship in the Algarve at the weekend. France, with a very strong squad selected, swept all before them. They only conceded a point in the final against Great Britain, which ended 19-7. Ireland were third, beating the improving Poland 7 side. And next weekend is the European Trophy's first leg in Zagreb. The Olympic qualifier in Krakow follows the weekend after, before the championship concludes in Hamburg on the 7th to 9th of July.
Over to France. Stade Bordelais have won their first title in this, guys. I'm saying that mainly for John Birch at Scrum Queens, because they have won it in a different guise. Anyway, Stade Bordelais are the French champions. Their first ever final won 27-23. Again, another hugely exciting. Look at our socials. We retweeted the highlights of that one. They came storming back from 8-20 at one point. Just scored 19 points. Those 3 tries, all by forwards from driving line out or pick and go. Yeah, they certainly tightened things up. Their last winning try, came only 2 minutes left on the clock. Blagnac full of French stars like Fulani, Mayans, Escudero, Curay and Vernier. Again, will have to be content with the runners-up medal. Melissa Lance, 2 tries, well worth watching as well. But she on the losing side. So huge congratulations to Stade Bordelais.
Okay, next up, we're over to South Africa, where the Bulls Daisies scored an emphatic win over Western Province in round 6 of the South African Premier Division. They maintained their unbeaten status with a final score in Cape Town of 41-0. Border Ladies won their 5th game in a row, with a 3rd on the road, winning 27-20 over the Golden Lions. Boleyn Dames finally got themselves a win with 31-28 over EP Queens. So the Daisies remain on top on 25 points. Border Ladies played One more and 2 points behind them, WP. Sharks, EP Queens and Bowland Dames and the Golden Lions. This week, Bowland Dames travel to the Sharks, EP Queens host Western Province, and the Bulls Daviesies and the Golden Lions go head-to-head.
It's a mouthful, certainly, isn't it? All of that.
Certainly is.
But yeah, rugby continues in South Africa. Starting up this weekend, though, we have the Premier Rugby Sevens over in the United States. This started a couple of years ago, didn't it? It's a men's and women's rugby sevens competition. It's a touring competition mold, really. Involves 16 teams, 8 men's, 8 women's, all equal across the board in terms of pay, competing against each other across the country. Sort of, there's a round robin stage, then a semi-finals, and then a big finals day in Washington, DC. A lady competing in that who can tell us all about it, and the team names alone are outstanding. I can assure you. Naya Tapper, USA Eagles 7-star, joined me a little earlier in the week. Exciting stuff going on over in the USA. But first of all, we always ask our guests, how are you? What are you up to at the moment?
So I just got back to San Diego. We have a check-in training week this week. We just had a month off after the finishing of the season for this past year. And so just to have some time off to refresh, reset, and then just coming back in for this week to make sure that we're hitting our standards that we created in the beginning of the year and towards the end of the season to make sure that we're prepped and ready to go for the Olympic year. So
good season. What's the reflection now? It's all sort of all wound up into loose.
I think for us, just continuing to build on the awareness that we gained of what makes us successful and what doesn't, and trying to put all of our energy into the things that make us successful, but also saving some of that energy to fix some of the things that allowed us to be not so successful. We had a great season, but there's always things to learn in any situation. And so we're just trying to take everything we can learn from that to get even better as a team. One
of the reasons we got you on was to talk about the Premier Rugby Sevens, which is going on in the USA. Started a couple of years ago, didn't it? But it's doubled, isn't it, this season, going into 16 teams, I believe, 8 men's, 8 women's, competing against each other all across the country. I mean, literally is all over the place. And, you know, the league is the first professional women's rugby union competition in North America to offer contracts to women. If we knew nothing about it, and apart from what I've just said, just give us a little insight as to the tournament, the teams, that kind of stuff.
So for this season with PR Sevens, they've split it into East and West Coast conferences. And so you have 4 teams on the East Coast, 4 teams on the West Coast, and you'll have 2 tournament weeks minimum, 3 tournament weeks maximum based on your performance as a team. And so for the first week, for the first 2 weeks, the East Coast teams will play the East Coast teams. West Coast teams will play the West Coast teams. And then for that final tournament in DC, everybody will come together and we'll play to see who will be the champion team of the season. So that's kind of how it's broken down this year. Super excited. It's a great time for rugby in the U.S. currently.
So in the Western Conference, Golden State Retrievers, you've got the Rhino SoCal Loggerheads, Rocky Mountain Experts, and the Northern Loonies. And then in the Eastern Conference, Southern Headliners, Texas Team, New York Locals, and the Pittsburgh Steel Toes. Who are you playing for?
I'll be playing for the Headliners.
So how are these franchises then pulled together?
In terms of players on teams, the coaches draft the players. So kind of similar to an NFL drafts, something of that sort. And with that, as a player, from my understanding, you have some leeway with if you want to be on an East Coast team or a West Coast team, depending on your location or other important reasons.
You've got an opening tournament East Coast Conference. That kicking off this weekend, isn't it, in Austin, Texas? The West Coast on the 24th, Minneapolis, San Jose, California. The weekend after that for the West Conference Finals, and the Eastern Conference Finals, Pittsburgh, and then the big finals in Washington, D.C., Audi Field. Americans getting a hold of rugby. You clearly love it. There's plenty of people over in the country that do love it. You've got the Hope Rogers and the Kate Zachary's and all the rest of that are over here. Rachel Johnson's, yes, some phenomenal players. But is it beginning to take hold over there?
In my opinion, it started taking hold maybe 5 years ago. And so with PR7s coming in the picture 2 years ago, I think it really started booming because it's providing more opportunities for players in other sports to be able to get a taste of the sport before they get to the national level. So I think it's been amazing how much it's picked up, especially with the performance of the women and men's national teams in the past 5 to 7 years, how much we've improved and stamped our way into rugby in the world. Because for a long time, we were still figuring out the ropes. And I think we're getting a lot closer to being one of those teams known for being great rugby players, not just great athletes.
Do you see the development in the tournament in terms of its, the frills that go alongside of the organisation, the stadia, the social media that goes around it? Is that improving year on year as well?
Absolutely. You have people like Ilona Marr, Carlin Isles, Perry Baker, who are just skyrocketing the sport on social media to be able to bring eyes to the amazing things that the men's and women rugby players are doing in the U.S. So I think that has been very beneficial because we know how important and powerful social media can be, the impact that we've been able to make with that. Yeah,
absolutely. The shake and bake and all the rest of it, doing some tremendous stuff. You talk about big world superstars. This competition, this PR7s, has attracted a couple of World Cup winners, Olympians as well, like yourself, Stacey Flula and Ruby Tui. I mean, that's two of the biggest names in women's world, certainly 15s, if not 7s as well. That's great for the competition, isn't it?
Absolutely. We're super excited to have them be a part of something that we're creating for a lot of the youngins looking or wanting to play rugby and looking for those role models. So we're super excited to have them here and know they're going to have a great impact on the game and on the audience and the growth of the sport in the U.S.
So if we we're just wrapping up, if people are listening, wherever this weekend, possibly around the Austin area, Minneapolis area, what can they expect at these tournaments in terms of the rugby, the atmosphere, what goes on around? Come on, here's your sales pitch. All right, here we go.
With sevens all around the world, specifically PR7s, you can expect to see a lot of rugby stars, a lot of up-and-coming rugby players that are ready to stamp their name in the game. You can see a lot of costumes, a lot of super fun and excited fans, a lot of good drinks and food, and just good energy in general. It's going to be exciting, exhilarating, and a moment that you're not going to want to miss.
Boom. There it is.
Boom.
That's why they pay the big ambassadorial bucks. Right there. There's the quote. There's the nugget. That's brilliant. No, thank you so much. Always enjoyed commentating on you on the World 7 Series. It's a real pleasure to meet you today. And thank you very much for coming on the WRP, and all the very best. I've forgotten the name of your headliners. Go the headliners. Go the headliners.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate the opportunity. And now you know who you need to cheer for.
Headliners all the way.
Headliners it is.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Naya Tapper. Ruby Tui got a call. Stacey Flula's got a call. Did you not get the call, Rocky?
I tell you what, I had a number from there, but I missed it. So yeah, I'm really sad. I should have answered it.
I can't believe that they're not drafted you in for a bit of sevens in the heat over in the USA.
Could be on standby. You never know.
Yeah, indeed. So it is available for those listening. Yeah. But look, they're doing it different over there. We know World Rugby are desperate to break the US, aren't they? But like actors and sort of pop stars and what have you. There's a huge amount commercially over there. World Cup in a few World Cups time, of course, but they do it differently. They do it in an American way. The draft pick and the franchises and all the rest of it, different, but not necessarily wrong. It adds some real excitement to it all, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, you're trying to make the game exciting. Get the fans, get more players, and it's just a different way of doing it. And in the US, the game is rocketing up, and they have to make it attractive. And I think fair play to them for doing it slightly different. And I think all eyes will be on it, and can't wait to see it unfold.
Yeah. So just to let you know, the Eastern Conference kickoffs this weekend, 17th in Austin, Texas. Western Conference 24th. Minneapolis, Western Conference Finals, San Jose on the 15th of July, 23rd of July for the Eastern Conference Finals in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then it all rounds up in Washington, D.C. on the 6th of August in the championship tournament. Flow Rugby. No, it's NBC Sports for that one.
I'm Stacey Flula and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
I thoroughly enjoyed you co-hosting today, Rocky. I always love your company and your thoughts. You're a busy lady as ever, rushing directly from the gym to jump on the pod today. What's next for you? New coaching gig?
Yeah, I must say I'm a busy girl and keeping the fitness up just in case ever required to, make a little appearance here and there. But yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. Obviously, it's no surprise that I'm really working on my media and punditry and all of that. But keeping a hand in with the coaching, and I've got the Leicester scrum coach, which I'll be involved in, and imparting my knowledge, mainly good stuff, hopefully, with Leicester Tigers. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's a massive challenge. It's just amazing to be a part of and still keep my hand in with the coaching as well as pursuing the other side of the career.
So just to be clear, the playing boots aren't hung up just yet.
No, I think they got a little lace on. They got a lace on, but if needed, me, I went out and played tens in Hong Kong earlier in the year. If I get the call, who knows?
Okay, well that's good to know. But what stage are Leicester at? It must be a mad scramble. That's nothing to do with Leicester, but just the way that this is all falling together. This is the best league in the world. It's going out by itself. There'll be new broadcasts and all the rest of it, proper stuff. Putting a team together to compete on and off the field there, that's hell of a challenge. Where are you all at with it all?
Yeah, I haven't had too much to do that. I've put a few thoughts in who I'd like Santa's wish list, but
who was top of it? Who was top of it?
Can't tell you the trade secrets. Obviously, having Amy Cockayne, she's been an absolute weapon for whatever team I've played alongside her, and to see her keep developing, a real leader. So I'm really, really pleased with her coming on. There's a few others that haven't come, but there's a few more that are, and I'm excited about what's coming up. The quality of the players that you're getting in, you've got to try and think, right, what do we need here? What do we want our identities to be, and how are we going to survive and make an impact? We don't want to be getting absolutely smashed week in, week out. We actually want to be competitive and build and what's great is obviously the league isn't starting till a little bit later, so we've got that time to develop and try and make, you've got to be really quick with how you get the connections and the team, all coming together really quickly to play at the highest level. We've seen Exeter do it, and they've done an absolutely amazing job at it. And, we've got to try and maybe nick a few of their ideas of how to get that team clicking. But yeah, I'm very excited about it. And, there's going to be bumps along the road and there'll be exciting things that happen, but certainly, it's great to get our teeth into and have a clean slate, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, really excited. Personally, I would have thought, a new challenge, new club, completely new, and it's a blank canvas as well for you and the rest of the management team. So, Amy again, first piece of the spine in place. I just wanted to ask you: Are you surprised when back in 1837 when you first started with the Red Roses squad?
Thank you.
No, when you first. Picks up, and sort of younger people came into the squad. Comparing that to the players that you're dealing with now, say at that sort of late teens, early 20s, how much is the rugby knowledge that much better at that age now?
Oh yeah, you can see that these youngsters have been growing up with rugby, and they've most of them have played minis, and they've come through all the different age groups, and to have that understanding at 16, 18, 20 rather than 26 to 30, is just brilliant. Like you saw it. One of the first that came through was Meg Jones. Her knowledge and understanding of the game, and just like a wise head on young shoulders. That was mind blowing. That such talent and such calmness to then have that ability to read a game and know what was needed, and we're seeing that now. And I'm out on the ground coaching loads of different clubs and doing guest sessions, and we're seeing youngsters 14, 16-year-olds who have got so much potential. I'm like, I genuinely think I'll see you in the Premiership in 5 years for sure. So yeah, there'll be there's this next level now, and my role is to inspire the next generation and educate them and get them at the best place they can be, and that's a hugely exciting thing for me to give back to rugby.
Brilliant, Rocky. About winding up for this episode of the Women's Rugby Board. We got your prediction on the final 3:30 Saturday the 24th. At Kingdom, get your tickets to that one through the websites, various websites for that. Great to have you on your thoughts. Exciting time. What else are you up to? What are you up to over the summer?
Oh, well, actually, I'm doing the London to Paris bike ride in October, so I'll be doing a lot of cycling. So you'll see that on my socials. Probably a lot of coffeeing and taking my dogs for walks, and then obviously, more importantly, I start the new role at Leicester in July, and yeah, just building up the punditry and commentary and all of that, and appearances. But yeah, just getting out and about, my friend.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for coming on and your thoughts. You'll be there at Kingston, will you, for the final?
Oh yeah, wouldn't miss it for the world.
Absolutely brilliant. We will see you. Rocky, thank you so much. Thank you to Tom and Vicky in the background as well. When you listen to this, keep an eye on our socials because we have an exciting announcement around that final coming up in the next couple of days. But yeah, and all these things, there's a lot of red tape and what have you to get through, and approval and all the rest of it. But yeah, there may be an exciting announcement around that final. So keep an eye on the socials. Rocky, thank you. Enjoy the sunshine, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week with a full